and whatever else. And we are doing extremely well because of the women at the Olympic level and the Commonwealth Games level and Asian Games level. So there's no reason except for this, patriarchal approach to everything that the girls and the women do that we stop them from participating. So that's one. The other is, and that this is very crucial, that the women cricketers and those who are, propping them up, supporting, actually there needs to be a stronger lobby.
Okay.
There needs to be a stronger lobby of players in the Indian administrative system or the BCCI. It is there, but it's not strong enough. And so are there women administrators in the BCCI? I can't think of even two names, and it's the richest cricket body in the world. Now women are getting equal pay, which is great. But going ahead, they need more games, as we've been talking about.
Absolutely. So while we are celebrating the triumphs and achievements of these women, it actually needs to be backed with the kind of money that they receive. Of course, they are playing because of that, and also, to go actually do better for the country. And this is actually a start and something that needs to be celebrated today. I'd like to thank both my guests, Mr. Kakkar and Mr. Ayaz, for joining me on the broadcast. That's it from me. My colleague Shivani is joining you on the other side with Plain Speak.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The face-off between the Congress and the BJP over Kashmir once again took centre stage today after Law Minister Kiren Rijiju wrote exclusively for News18.com on the 75th anniversary of Kashmir accession. The Law Minister minced no words, and in the article titled 75th Anniversary of 5 Nehruvian Blunders on Kashmir, held India's first Prime Minister responsible for the Kashmir issue and accused him of giving priority to personal agendas and ambitions over national interest. Rijiju blamed Nehru for taking the Kashmir issue to United Nations, remember, under Article 35, which gave Kashmir a status of a disputed territory. The minister also took on Nehru for creating the so-called special case for Jammu and Kashmir with Article 370 without any justification, which eventually led to the institutionalization of separatism mindset in the valley. Of course, before that came the dilly-dallying as accused of the accession of Kashmir to India. Congress has come out all guns blazing at the Law Minister, accusing him of distorting facts. The question today is simple. Was Jawaharlal Nehru responsible for the mess in Jammu and Kashmir, something that is hurting India even till today? We will take that to our guests in just a bit, but first let me break down exactly what the Law Minister wrote that has led to such an uproar. Like I said, 5 blunders, Nehruvian blunders that he's talking about. The first one, popular approval bogey, invented by Nehru for Kashmir's accession to India. Maharaja Hari Singh was actually pleading with the Indian leadership at that time, but Nehru, as Law Minister claims, wanted to fulfill his own personal agenda. The Maharaja wanted to accede as early as July itself, but the decision was deferred to by Nehru. He felt that it was best, quote, not to rush into. The Law Minister asks why. Second Nehruvian blunder, the eventual accession of Kashmir was declared provisional. Provisional accession led to the belief that it was open to debate. This opened up the door that seeded 7 decades of separatist mindset. All the instruments of accession, mind you, were the same for all princely states, including Jammu and Kashmir. Then why was Kashmir made a special and provisional case? India should have ideally leapt onto the opportunity of Kashmir wanting to come to India. And actually only the ruler of a princely state had the decision to make. There was no concept of popular approval. The third Nehruvian blunder, approaching UN under Article 35 rather than Article 51. The Maharaja signed an instrument of accession with India, but Nehru gave the locus standi to Pakistan in this so-called dispute. He accepted Kashmir as a dispute territory between India and Pakistan and also internationalized it. This is something we talk about till today. Remember, those UN resolutions on Kashmir are haunting us till today, when they shouldn't have in the first place. The fourth Nehruvian blunder, the myth that was perpetrated that the UN mandated plebiscite was being stopped by India. The truth couldn't be further from that. It was Pakistan that was refusing to withdraw its troops, remember, from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, which was the second condition to the plebiscite. So the talk of plebiscite was infructuous, but the sword of the plebiscite continues to hang on India despite Nehru himself opening up that door. The fifth Nehruvian blunder, the creation and perpetuation of Article 370, Article 306A in the interim draft of the Constitution then. Like the law minister argues, and of course he's quoting many sources and historical facts and data, there is no justification for such an article as quote special case. It existed only, Kiren Rijiju writes, in Nehru's mind. Nehru had his way, Article 370 came into existence, and the institutionalizing of separatist mindset was done with this, something that India has been facing for the last 75 years. Meanwhile, speaking during the Shaurya Divas in Budgam today to commemorate the Indian Army's successes made after the landing of soldiers in Jammu and Kashmir on October 27, 1947, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh took on Pakistan for carrying out atrocities on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir residents. He blamed Pakistan for inhuman incidents in the region and warned that Pakistan will have to pay a price for these cruelties. He said India stands with POK residents, empathizes with them, and shares their grief. And finally, and possibly most importantly, he said India's goal of all-round development in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh will be achieved after recapturing Gilgit and Baltistan. Big statement by the government, quite on the lines of Home Minister Amit Shah earlier, who had said in Parliament, remember, that we will die for Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and bring it back. So the question, as I said, is quite simple. A full panel of guests are joining us. Did Nehru's blunders cost us the Kashmir issue, the Kashmir problem? Did it create it? And was it ultimately behind Pakistan's meddling in Jammu and Kashmir? First up, listen into what both sides are saying.
इतिहास हम अपने हाथों से हम बदल नहीं सकते हैं। इतिहास तो जो है, उस इतिहास को सिर्फ लोगों के सामने में रखना था। और मैं मानता हूं कि जो 75 साल पहले पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने जो गलतियां की, उसको मोदी जी ने ठीक किया है। 5 ब्लंडर ऐसा है जिसका कीमत आज भी चुका रहे हैं।
Kiren Rijiju, unfortunately, is maybe one of the bright students of WhatsApp nursery, but we'll send him some history books. He should also consult some people who understand the history of Kashmir, and we can send him some names and numbers, and then come and have a debate with us.
Frankly, a lot of these issues have been debated over the last few years, especially with BJP coming into power, the fact that Article 370 was revoked and abrogated. All of these issues have been coming to light, but this is as hard-hitting a criticism of Nehruvian blunders, quote-unquote, that a sitting minister has made in a long time, and you can read that exclusively on news18.com. I want to broaden this up with our guest joining us now. Syed Zafar Islam of the BJP is joining us, Deepika Pushkar Nath from the Congress Party. I'll also be joined by Sushil Pandit, activist and Kashmiri Pandit, Majid Haidri, senior journalist based in Jammu and Kashmir, and Professor Hariom, who's a researcher and historian. Before I go to our political panelists, I want to begin with the expert on the show. Professor Hariom, I'm coming to you first up. Just encapsulate everything that Kiren Rijiju is talking about in his exclusive piece on news18.com, talking about the 5 major, massive Nehruvian blunders. The Congress is, of course, coming out and saying that this is a distortion of facts coming out of WhatsApp University, etc. But remember, the minister has quoted primarily Jawaharlal Nehru's own speech, right? And in his own speech, he talks about how as early as July 1947, Maharaja Hari Singh had opened up the discussion and wanted to accede to India. There were no conditions that Kashmir was putting. Or where did these conditions come from? And why did we finally agree to it only when the Pakistani invaders were a few kilometers away from Srinagar?
Should I reply?
Yes, Professor Hariom,
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I must first congratulate Mr. Law Minister, who, without mincing words, set the record straight. What he said is based on what is on the record. The problem is the Congress, Nehru, they never considered Jammu and Kashmir an integral part of India like other states of the country. I can give you many examples. For example, under the Independence Act of 1947, Maharaja alone had the authority to decide the fate of the state. But Nehru insisted that unless and until Sheikh Abdullah of National Conference, he says, okay, I will not take a decision. So he made him a party despite the fact that he had no standing in the matter. Number one. Number two, Nehru and company, they never considered the people of Kashmir as Indians. They considered them a race apart. that was the reason that in October 1949 he introduced 306A, you call 370, and it was adopted in no time, despite the fact that a Muslim member of the Constituent Assembly, Mr. Mohani, he warned that grant of special status to Kashmir on the score of religion would enable it to assume independence afterwards. So I can give you many examples. And then Article 35A, I have the information that it was introduced by Nehru at the behest of Pakistan on 14th May 1954, retrospectively, with effect from 14 May 1944, so that all the non-Kashmiris were considered persona non grata in J&K. So
yeah, in fact, all the refugees, and majority of them were Hindus or non-Kashmiris who came from Pakistan into Kashmir post-independence. They've till today, till recently, till Article 370 was abrogated, were not given the status of Kashmiris.
Yeah. No, they were called foreigners, aliens. And Kashmiris would say that their stay in Jammu and Kashmir would lead to the change in Kashmiri demography. They live in Jammu and they say their stay in Jammu would change the demography of Kashmir. But I would want to say one thing. Say only recently, Mr. Chidambaram, he was then Home Minister of the country. I am talking of October 2014. 24, when Manmohan Singh took over. He said, Kashmir has a unique history, it has a unique problem, it has a unique geography, and it needs a unique solution. And he further said, solutions which are applicable to other states of the country cannot be replicated in Jammu and Kashmir. So this was the attitude of the Congress, of the Government of India towards Jammu and Kashmir. People say, Kashmir problem. I say, no. It's not Kashmir problem. It is either problem in Kashmir or problem in Delhi, because those who managed the affairs of the state, they only bungled again and again, telling the world, telling the Kashmiris that they do not consider them as an integral part of the country.
Exactly. But Professor, you made a very important statement. You said that Article 35A was done at the behest of Pakistan. Now, that's the broader question I'm looking at today. Why would Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of the country, someone who hails, whose lineage is from Jammu and Kashmir, do anything to hurt India's chances in Kashmir? Because there's also an allegation that actually it was the British pressure too. British also wanted to continue to keep the Kashmir issue hanging. They didn't want Kashmir to come to India without any ifs and buts. So it is argued that both under the British pressure and, as you are alleging, under Pakistan pressure, Nehru did what he did. But why would he do so? That's the question that comes to everybody's mind.
Nehru was under the baneful influence of Lord Mountbatten. And Lord Mountbatten was of the firm opinion that Jammu and Kashmir, it must go to Pakistan. So that was the issue. So Nehru, he in fact allowed Lord Mountbatten to reign supreme.
Yeah.
He would go to Pakistan, Lahore, and promise plebiscite. How could he? India became independent on August 15, 1947, and he continued to be the Governor General of India.
Yes.
Even the Chief of Army Staff was a Briton. So what kind of independence India achieved? My point is, Nehru, he only acted as per the advice given to him by Lord Mountbatten and other anti-India forces.
Yeah. Can I bring in Congress Representative Deepika here? You know, you've heard what Professor Hariom is saying. A lot of this is mentioned in the Law Minister's article on news18.com. And one other charge that hasn't been mentioned about, I want to quote it. When Kiren Rijiju says there was no requirement to seek popular approval of the people of princely states as per the Indian Independence Act, that's a fact. All that matters was the willingness of the ruler to join the Indian Union, and that's exactly what all other princely states also did. Now, the charge against Jawaharlal Nehru is that it was his personal disagreement, personal dislike and animosity against Maharaja Hari Singh that made him more close or wanted to give Sheikh Abdullah some locus standi or dominance in Kashmir. Until he could achieve that, he delayed the accession of Kashmir without any ifs and buts to India. How do you respond to all of these, charges that are coming in against Jawaharlal Nehru and the legacy that he left behind of 75 years of trouble in the valley?
Well, thank you so much. I'm really thankful that you let me in today and you allowed me to speak on this very serious issues. I heard the gentleman professor speaking, leveling a lot of allegations on Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and then I read I only heard you reading the article that Mr. Rijiju has written. Now, if you understand, these allegations are very serious in nature. Please understand one thing, which is very deep, that these allegations are very serious in nature. Everyone coming in, Professor Harry, he leveled a lot of allegations. Then our law minister also leveling a lot of allegations. Now, my only point before all these gentlemen is, what is your source? Now, I want to make a statement here publicly. Let all these gentlemen be put to strict proof to prove all these allegations that they are leveling against Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. I have tweeted today. I have said, let our law minister, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, organize a conference on national level. Discuss all these things. Discuss instrument of accession, and then make the report public.
Okay.
And let him have the guts. Let people decide it.
Deepika ji,
See,
writing is also a means of initiating a debate, right? The law minister has written his piece. If there is a disagreement, the Congress should come out and rebut it.
Let me speak now. Let me speak. If you are allowing me to speak, let me speak. This is very serious.
Yes.
It is a national TV and you represent people as a whole. You cannot say anything which is irrelevant. Mr. Professor Hari Om and other panelists, if they are alleging Nehruji of doing blunders and what you call 5 blunders, let them put to strict proof to prove all these things.
All right. Since you talk about proof, I want to move on. I think I got your point, but I want to talk about the proof that you're asking for.
One second.
Yes, Deepika ji, please finish quickly. I want to get to the proof that you're talking about.
No, this is something very serious.
Yes,
this is something very serious, right? You are maligning someone's image. You are accusing him of what not, right? Now, please let me make one point very clear. It was 1947. It was Mr. Professor Hari Om. Please don't laugh. You are an authority on the subject. Speak what is relevant. Don't speak which is not relevant. No, 1 second, Mr. Professor Hari Om. It was 1947.
Yes.
Please understand, it was 1947, and India was reeling under peculiar circumstances.
Like?
Right? It was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, because I mean, it is him only.
Deepika ji, just hold on. I'm not sure of what is so irrelevant that Professor Hari Om talked about. Also, you're talking about 1947. We all know what was happening in India in 1947. I'm not sure what any circumstances justified the dilly-dallying of the accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India. But ma'am, please just hold on now. You raised a very important point of proof. Now, the proof that law minister is quoting in his piece on news18.com. Yes, Professor, I'll give you an opportunity. 2 of my guests have not spoken. Is Jawaharlal Nehru's own speech, July 24, 1952, Nehru conceded the facts. Like all other princely states, Maharaja Hari Singh wanted to join India. He had approached Indian leadership in July 1947 itself. And these are words this was information that was revealed by Jawaharlal Nehru himself. That he told them that Kashmir, the advice we gave to both was that Kashmir is a special case and it would not be right or proper to rush things here. Professor Hari Om, very quickly, I'll give you a minute. I have to go to Zafar Islam as well. The proof.
Not only in July, Hari Singh, a number of times, wrote to Prime Minister Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru.
Yes.
No, it is not writing. It is not writing. It is not writing. It is not just saying it. Please quote this statement.
Ma'am, I just quoted his statement. I'm quoting from his recorded speech. These are not made up facts.
Tell this lady to read Mirchand Mahajan's autobiography. Looking back, he was the Prime Minister of the time.
Nobody is saying it just like that.
This lady knows nothing about J&K.
It is there. It is. Sir, be dignified.
Not
aside
once.
and be respectful.
He wrote
Be
a number of
respectful.
times
My
to
name is
Nehru
Deepika
that he wanted
Pushkarnath.
J&K
My
to
name
become
is
part of
Advocate
India.
Deepika
But Nehru
Pushkarnath.
would put his
Address
foot
me
down.
properly. Address me with dignity. Don't say this lady. Address
Okay,
me with
can I
dignity.
just move on from this because this is
My name is
needlessly taking our
Advocate
time.
Deepika
I am more than
Pushkarnath.
happy, Deepika ji, to take factual rebuttals on the issue, but I
Please
don't think
try to
anybody
what-
has said anything that is not
Any of
factual.
my point?
Yes, Hariom, very quickly. Professor Hariom.
What I am saying is that people say Nehru delayed accession. No, this is not true. The fact is, but Kiran Rijiju said that is true. That is the fact. Read Mir Chand Mahajan, who was the prime minister of the time, his autobiography, looking back. And then I would request this gentle lady to then speak on J&K. So I would not say that she knows nothing, but at the same time, I am sorry to say that she is just making a mountain out of molehills. Problem is, the truth is, Congress never considered Jammu and Kashmir as an integral part of India like other states of the country. And Mr. Nehru, he detached J&K from the Home Ministry and attached it with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as if Jammu and Kashmir was a foreign land.
Okay.
So there are many issues.
Yeah, many
Kiran
issues
Rijiju
actually. This is
talked
a
of five.
multi-layered issue. It is not as simple as a few things here and there. I want to bring in Syed Zafar Islam
I can
here
have
as
to
well.
50.
So 1 second, can I just bring in my other two guests also? Mr. Islam, you must have heard what the Congress's response today has been. What the Congress's response today on the show is, they're saying that none of this is factual.
Well, Congress has no leg to stand on this issue because the fact is out in open. Everyone knows what exactly had happened at that point in time and what the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had played the role at that point in time. So when the speech has been quoted, when what he has spoken in the Parliament, what he has spoken outside the Parliament, everything is now in the public domain. If somebody says that he has not spoken, then only they are trying to fool themselves, not the people of this great country. And the Honorable Minister, Law Minister, is not, please do not disturb Ms. Deepika ji. Just have the patience to listen. I patiently listened to you. You are
Deepika ji, I'll give you one more opportunity. Just let him finish. Yeah.
I've raised my hand only.
Have patience.
Deepika ji, I'll give you one more opportunity. Yes, Mr. Islam, please finish.
So, all I'm trying to tell you that the Honorable Minister, when he wrote this piece, he didn't say that he's reinventing a wheel or he's trying to convey something which was not known to people. He has put together something which is already in the public domain. And he himself has very clearly stated that it is the fact which is known to people. I have mentioned in my piece, that's all. And the fact is that Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru has purposely delayed the accession of Jammu and Kashmir purely because he had a reason to, he was trying to serve a purpose. The purpose was to that he wanted Sheikh Abdullah to become what he had become at that point in time with the help of Jawaharlal Nehru. Yeah. So basically he was trying to help and prioritize. He was trying to prioritize Sheikh Abdullah, he was trying to please Sheikh Abdullah, but he was ignoring what nation needed at that point in time, and that is something which is a fact.
Along with
which
that allegation, the other allegation that the law minister is also making is that by October 21, 1947, Pakistan had already started invading Jammu and Kashmir, in other words, India. But even till then, it took a full week for India to act, even as there were pleas coming in both from the Indian Army and others, our leadership in Jammu and Kashmir, for the Indian state to intervene. And, eventually I read out that quote earlier. It was only on October 27 that Nehru said that finally we couldn't say no. Why would even India say no? And then there is the issue of the UN resolution, the internationalizing of this issue. But I want to bring in Majid Hydari here. Majid Hydari, fundamentally what Kiran Rijiju is talking about here is that, there was no special case, there was no provisional issue, there was no special status as under Article 370. All of this came because of several reasons that only Mr. Nehru can explain, because none of this really existed in Jammu and Kashmir and none of this was required at the time of accession. So this whole separatist movement was actually fueled because of these, quote, blunders, as Mr. Rijiju says.
Well, Shivani, firstly, happy Shaurya Divas to everybody. I want to remind Honorable Kiran Rijiju Sahab that we owe our freedom to Jawaharlal Nehru ji. Had there been no Jawaharlal Nehru, there would be no free India, because Lord Mountbatten never negotiated with the likes of Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, who was the Hindu Mahasabha leader. Lord Mountbatten did it with the likes of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Nehru only. So that is the contribution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and what we are talking about, the Nehruvian blunders, come secondary, which is after India became independent. So once we owe our independence to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, there is no fun of talking about his any XYZ blunders, quote unquote blunders. Now coming to today's point, see, today I am really grateful and thankful to my government, the BJP government and Zafar Bhai also, that they have come out of slumber ahead of Gujarat elections with the pain, feeling the pain of the people of POK and the pain of people of Gilgit-Baltistan, blah, 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 because till 3 days ago, the same BJP government was enjoying India-Pakistan cricket match. That day, Honorable Prime Minister was also appreciating India-Pakistan playing together. But today, Rajnath Singh ji is suddenly feeling pain because we have Gujarat elections. Otherwise, for the last 3 years, our government has never spoken about this entity, which is supposed to be part of our this entire nation.
No,
So
that's
where
not
was
true.
BJP
I
for the
actually
last 3 years?
quoted at the start of my show when I talked
Can I
about
just
Rajnath
respond?
Singh's
Can I just
statement
respond?
today that actually Home Minister
Can I
Amit
just
Shah said
respond to that,
virtually
please?
the same thing in Parliament earlier. He was laughed
Yes,
off, he was
exactly, he
criticized. But
did.
that's not true what you're saying, that the government has not
Shivani,
made known
that
his
is what I am
intention.
saying. No, that is what I am
Shivani,
saying.
Shivani,
that
can I
it has
just come
happened
in,
after
One second,
3
sir.
years. Since August 5, 2019, our worthy government never talked about POK or Gilgit-Baltistan.
So how- what does
Since
that
then,
have
there
to do
was
with what
a
I'm
kind of
talking about
slumber or
today?
silence. I don't know. Zafar Bhai can better explain. Was
But
it
what does
slumber
that
or
have to do
silence or
about
whatever?
with what I'm talking about today, sir? Today I'm talking about historical perspectives and happenings. Yes,
So I
Mr. Islam,
corrected
respond
you
very
on the
quickly.
historic
I've got Sushil
perspective.
Pandit joining me. I have to go to him. Yes,
No, I
Mr. Islam.
corrected.
Absolutely, you have to go to Sushil ji as well. But just briefly, I want to make a statement that it is not for the first time we are saying, and it is not the last time. We will make it happen. We will ensure that the POK, which is part of India, is now. We have to ensure that it becomes part of India. It is still part of India, but it is occupied by Pakistan. There is a statement which has been made in the Parliament, and the Parliament of India has decided that
Zafar
we
Bhai,
have
why
to
was the
annex
government
the
silent
POK.
since? Why
We
was
will
let's
make
not
it
deviate
happen.
from the subject. No, I'm
No,
sorry, I'm
we-
running
we-
out of time. I am only
no.
particularly discussing
And it is
issues
nothing to- it is
in
nothing to do with
1947
election
and
and
nothing
all.
else. I'm not discussing present day issues.
Today it was
We
a
have all the time
statement
on
made by
another
the
occasion to do so.
Honorable
And I don't
Health
quite
Minister-
appreciate
Honorable
the
Defence
effort
Minister.
to derail the discussion
And
on Nehru's
we will make it happen.
actions by bringing in present day government. I want to go across to Sushil Pandit. Unfortunately, sir, you've joined us late. I only have a couple of minutes left. What do you make of the facts that, or the article that Kiran Rijiju has written? Do you believe it is time that India as a mature nation needs to discuss what transpired in 1947? And do you believe, like Mr. Rijiju is claiming, there's been myths perpetrated over the so-called Kashmir problem?
Absolutely. And I feel today we have a case for trying Jawaharlal Nehru posthumously for high treason and strip him of Bharat Ratna, which he gave to himself. Can you imagine? His government gave Bharat Ratna to him. And he lauded over whitewashing of history and his own blunders. He was the one who said, we don't even need an army. A police is enough. And that is what gave us grief in 1962. His list of blunders is unending. This man deserves to be tried posthumously. And all his, I won't call them errors, they are crimes he committed against the newly independent republic. They are heinous, grievous crimes, including the crime of partitioning India, which cost us 3 million lives. He gave in to the marauders, the jihadis, represented by Muslim League and Jinnah, and vivisected our nation. He owes, his entire legacy owes a huge, a big apology to India.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. Unfortunately, you've joined us late. But I'm leaving it at that. I've run out of time. Well, something tells me this issue is not over, and it should be. As a mature, healthy country, it should be debated more in detail, and I'll look forward to having all of our guests once again on this show as we take this debate forward. I'm moving on to the other big story that we're discussing today. A historic move by the Cricket Board of India, bridging the gender pay gap. Today, BCCI announced equal pay for women and men cricketers. BCCI Secretary Jai Shah announced the landmark decision on Twitter. He said India's women cricketers will be paid the same international match fee as their male counterparts. Jai Shah termed the move as a new era in Indian cricket and BCCI's first step towards tackling discrimination. Now, the move by the Cricket Board was welcomed by cricket fraternity, especially by women cricketers, former and current, hailed as a big leap in women's empowerment and a big boost to women's cricket. BCCI, remember, has become only the second cricket board to do this, after New Zealand cricket did this earlier this year. Now, under this policy, women, like men, will earn 15 lakh rupees for every test match played, 6 lakh for an ODI and 3 lakh for a T20 international. These amounts are indeed significantly higher than the flat 1 lakh that India women players were earning till now for an ODI or T20I and 4 lakhs for a test match. In recent years, not only have the women's team been doing very well, their performances have gone up, there's been a consistent push by BCCI to promote women's cricket. Starting with the latest unprecedented move, the BCCI has announced equal pay for as far as match fees are concerned. It comes after the Cricket Board had given the green flag to the much-awaited inaugural edition of the Women's IPL as well, which is all set to take place next year. Remember, BCCI has also been holding the Women's T20 Challenge for women since 2018. The tournament features 3 teams playing a round robin before a final. Not to forget, India will be hosting the biggest cricket tournament, ICC Women's World Cup in 2025, and international level tournaments, bilateral series, etc. have been increased so that, of course, women players get the opportunity to play more world-class cricket. So this is a landmark decision by the BCCI, equal pay, at least as far as match fees is concerned, by men and women. I'll go across to several former cricketers, female and male, joining me in just a bit. But first up, let's listen in from the Indian captain, Harmanpreet Kaur.
First of all, I welcome this decision, and we always talk about equality, and first time in India, and now we are getting the equal pay as men are getting, and I'm really happy, and I'm really happy this is happening now, and I'm sure now a lot of girls in India, they will take cricket as a professional career.
Jhulan Goswami, former Indian cricketer who's actually was part of the Indian dressing room just till last month, is joining us. Diana Adulji, who's one of India's former test cricketers, joining us as well. Maninder Singh, former India cricketer, will be joined with more in just a bit. But let me begin with Jhulan Goswami. Jhulan, you've been one of the greatest exponents of women's cricket and cricket in India globally. Share with me your initial thoughts of how do you feel, because this is something your generation of cricketers, including the likes of Diana Adulji and all, have been fighting for a very long time.
First of all, thank you so much, and it's a big day for women's cricket. This was it was long due. A lot of discussion was going on, and what you want, after just Diwali time, and I must thanks to all BCCI office bearers. They come out and announce these things, because it was required for sports, particularly in India, as well as the society. This will give huge boost to women's cricket as well as in our society and other sports, to bring break that stereotype gender differences. They should break that differences and come out as a same platform.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you talk about gender barriers and differences, but I want to ask you, before I go to others, from your experience, what difference does this make, actually speaking, in a cricketer's life? Because yes, athletes and cricketers alike don't really play for money per se, but from your own experience, can you share with me what message this sends to the country and the global community at large, to society, and what real difference this makes in a cricketer's life?
ऐसा है, हमेशा डिफरेंस होता है, दिक्कतें आते हैं, because nowadays cricket has become a very highly professional game. To maintain certain thing is quite difficult for individuals. At the same time, because of you'll get a lot of respect from the society, as well as you can have your own personal trainers, physios, you can have your own dietitian, and you can plan your session. So that's all those things, small things will give lot of help to women's cricket. And one more thing, earlier we used to heavily rely on Indian Railways and a bit sometime for Air India to get some jobs to एक चीज जरूरी होता है हम लोगों के लिए, जो एक जॉब मिल जाए, एक सिक्योरिटी मिल जाती थी. बिल्कुल. सो उसके ऊपर आपको हेवीली रिलाई करने का जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज यू हैव सेंट्रल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, नाउ यू हैव सेम अमाउंट ऑफ पेमेंट फ्रॉम द बोर्ड. सो इफ यू कंसिस्टेंटली परफॉर्म वेल, यू कैन प्लान योर लाइफ ऑल्सो. सो आई थिंक इज ह्यूज बूस्ट फॉर वुमेन्स क्रिकेट. एंड इससे बढ़िया चीज नहीं हो सकता था. ये मांग बहुत दिनों से था, लाइक आप कैसे इस चीज को और ऊपर लेके आए, वुमेन्स क्रिकेट को और कैसे ऊपर लेके आए. एंड नाउ लास्ट 5 years वुमेन्स क्रिकेट जिस तरीके से आपने एक खुद का आइडेंटिटी क्रिएट किया, खुद का एक स्ट्रॉन्ग बेस बनाया वर्ल्ड क्रिकेट में, एंड जिस तरीके से वेरी कंसिस्टेंट परफॉर्मेंस किया है लास्ट 5-6 years. So I think it was a huge gift for entire women's cricket in our country.
Absolutely, you're calling this a gift. I think this is long due, as you also very rightly said. Only what the women cricketers deserve. Diana Adilji is joining me. Earlier today, Diana, you were saying that this is a Diwali bonanza for Indian women's cricket. You know, this is something that has been a long-standing demand. Interestingly, the BCCI has become only the second cricket board to do so. So actually, we're ahead of many others. Many other more traditional or more developed countries, more traditional cricket playing countries like England. And we've done it only after New Zealand that did it earlier this year. What do you make of this decision, and how does it feel today? Because when you were part of the Cricket Administrators Committee as well, this is something that you had been talking about for a very long time.
Yes, come to the point first, that how do I feel? There's a little echo going on. If you could
can we
sort
cut that please?
out.
Yes, Diana ma'am, go ahead.
Today is a very big day for women cricket and women cricketers for this. It's a great Diwali gift given by Mr. Jay Shah announcing it, and the BCCI on the whole. And I really appreciate this move from BCCI. It is, yes, as you said, it's a long overdue one, but it is a process, in progress. It started when I became a member of COA, when the one-time benefit was given and the pension was started. We increased it a little bit. We brought pension for 1 to 10 test matches, which was not there before. So it's an ongoing process. Then we started, making the team travel in business class. Then they got the single rooms in the 5-star hotels, same as the men. The daily allowances became equal. It was small steps being taken, and now this major step which has been given by BCCI. In fact, before this also, when the broadcasting rights for IPL came in, the BCCI doubled the pension for the women cricketers. So those are the things that BCCI is really looking into and looking after women's cricket, not only the present lot, but even the past.
Now, everybody is wondering, before I bring in our former male cricketers as well, Deepdaz Gupta is also joining us. Diana ji, everybody is wondering, what about central contracts? Now, that gap there is also humongous, isn't it? The gap is staggering there.
Yes, I agree with you, but I still feel there is a little more time for that. See, men cricketers also took some time to get to this space, right? This figure was not there before. In COA time, we increased the fees of the central contracts, and it is an ongoing process. Initially, when the contracts came in, it was a very measly amount. Then we brought it up to certain levels, and see, we have to bring in revenue also to BCCI. BCCI is not only going to spend on the men's team and the women's team. It has a huge basket to look after, state associations, domestic cricket, infrastructure. There's a lot of money being spent all over the country, So it's just not possible that you just think, let's bridge this gap, let's bridge this gap. Slowly and steadily, now we've got our tender coming up for the broadcasting for women IPL, which is due next year. That could be a game changer, and then we can start thinking, once the IPL picks up, the performances of the players improve, we have a wider range of players. Domestic cricket improves. Everything. It's an ongoing process.
It's a
we
process.
just can't think that in one day BCCI is just going to wipe the clean slate and say that men and women all equal. It's not going to happen that way.
Yeah, I know that a lot of romanticism seeps in when we talk about this issue, and obviously all of us believe in our right minds and hearts, so this is something that needs to happen, but there are market forces at play. And this is a story all across, not just in global cricket, world cricket, but also across global sports. And I've discussed that over the years with many, many former athletes from tennis, football, etc. But I want to bring in Maninder Singh. Maninder Singh, you know, along with equal match fees, one thing that women cricketers need is also an equal opportunity, or if not an equal opportunity, but a good number of matches to play. Do you think more needs to be done on that regard?
See, positive signs are coming, you know, like this was very important, and I'm really happy for women's cricket, and I'm really happy for the girls, because, you know, in today's time, you said that, you know, nobody plays for money, but I think you do play for money, because financial security is very, very important. And you know what this is going to do is, a lot of girls are going to come and play cricket now, and I'll go one step further. A lot of parents will be wanting their girls to play cricket, so that, you know, because there's so much money and that financial security is there. So I think one step at a time, BCCI is looking after women's cricket. This is a great step forward. And I think we should congratulate BCCI, because we've had great people, you know, who've led BCCI. Jagmohan Dalmia, you know, he started the money flow, then N. Srinivasan took it further, then Anurag Thakur took it another step further, and now Jay Shah wants to do that. And I'm so glad that this step has been taken, because it was long due, and like Diana said, they've been trying for a long time. But let's take one step at a time. I'm sure, you know, this is the first step, and slowly, with time to come, you'll see more things done for women's cricket.
Yeah, you talked about changing the mindset. In fact, I didn't, when I said, you know, athletes don't play for money per se, I didn't mean that they don't want to be making money. Of course, everybody does. But their real passion comes from representing the country and their passion for the sport. But ultimately, yes, financial security is indeed very important. Julian, I want to come to you with that question. You faced this in your career at the time when you started. You know, players are sometimes not keen on letting their kids play sports. Forget about girls playing cricket, because there's no financial security. And do you think one of the things that this move will do is encourage more players, not just athletes, but encourage more parents to say, okay, yes, you can make a career and a safe career playing cricket. Do you think that is something that is going to change now, Julian?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल ये बहुत बड़ी ये पॉइंट आपने उठाया है क्योंकि ये चीज़ का इशू है आई ऑल्सो गॉन थ्रू बिकॉज व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग क्रिकेट बिकॉज माई फैमिली पीपल डोंट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट स्पोर्ट्स एंड यू नो व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड वेरी यंग एज एंड दैट वाज quite challenging for parents to understand that, and sports itself is a gambling. You don't know you're going to be success or not. So when you take this kind of challenges, you can taking that kind of gambling. So sometimes it's difficult for parents to take a right call. But this will give you huge satisfaction to the parents also, that yes, आप अगर अच्छे से क्रिकेट खेलोगे, अच्छे से ट्रेनिंग करोगे, अच्छे से आप डेडिकेशन के साथ काम करोगे तो फ्यूचर में आप एक स्टेबल लाइफ लीड कर सकते हो. ये बहुत ज़रूरी था वुमेन्स क्रिकेट के लिए एंड दैट विल गिव ह्यूज थिंग फ्रॉम द अपकमिंग बडिंग क्रिकेटर्स के लिए एक अच्छा मोटिवेशन के लिए आएंगे क्योंकि आगे आपको वुमेन्स IPL भी आने वाला है नेक्स्ट ईयर. सो ऑल दोज थिंग्स इट विल गिव लॉट ऑफ वैल्यू टू वुमेन्स क्रिकेट एंड पर्टिकुलरली यंग बडिंग cricketers to come and take this sports professionally. जब तक आपका youngsters ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्रिकेट नहीं खेलेंगे, आपका क्वालिटी क्रिकेटर्स कम आने लगेंगे. सो आपको यंगस्टर्स के पास जाना है, स्पोर्ट्स को लेके जाना है, एंड दे शुड कम एंड प्ले दिस स्पोर्ट्स एज अ प्रोफेशनली, एंड दैट्स गोइंग टू बी द की. एंड आई एम डिलाइटेड टू see this news, and I'm absolutely excited and thrilled that this will give huge boost to women's cricket. Again, I'm saying, repeating this word, because this is very much important news for women's cricket.
Absolutely. Deep, coming to you, we all know the impact that the 1983 World Cup win had for cricket in India. Till that time, actually, you could argue it wasn't the biggest passion for sports lovers in the country. Do you think the women's game also is waiting for a moment like that, a big ICC trophy, for that explosion to happen in women's game as well?
I think the explosion kind of happened with Harman's 171 against Australia. I think that was, that turning point, or the, where there was a tectonic shift. And post that, a lot of things have moved forward in the right direction. And Indian women's cricket, especially, has done exceedingly well post that. I mean, at this point in time, obviously, Australia is head and shoulders above the others. But the only team that has competed with Australia in the last year or so has been India. And obviously Julian's been a part of that team which has been competing with Australia, and so obviously there is a lot of upside in women's cricket. And the other important thing, first of all, yes, I am delighted like everyone else. I'm extremely happy with this call, and I think BCCI is the first board as far as cricket is concerned.
No, it's the second board. New Zealand did it earlier this year.
New Zealand, fair enough. So even that way, I mean, being the second
even
board,
that's not bad actually.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely brilliant. And now that the IPLs is scheduled for next year, that's a big step as well in the right direction. And also, this is personally what I feel as a sport. If cricket has to grow, one of the best vehicles is women's cricket. I mean, we already see, apart from the usual cricket playing nations, you look at women's cricket, you see Thailand, teams like Thailand and all playing World Cup and all. So I think we also have to realize that this is, again, a great vehicle to spread the sport as well, which is women's T20 predominantly. It's already there in CWG. Chances are it'll be there in the Olympics. So, I mean, listen, I mean, this is very good news, not just for women's cricket. I think for cricket as a sport per se, I think this is a great move, and also tells you where the sport is going.
Yeah, absolutely. The next real uptick is going to come from women's cricket. Diana Adilji, I want to give you the final word. You said it is going to take incremental steps before we can get complete parity as far as male and female cricketers are concerned. But over the next 1 year or so, what more would you like to see happen for female cricket, women's cricket in India?
See, there are a lot of things lined up in the near future, especially next year. We have the World Cup coming up, we have the Women's IPL coming up. So all that is there. We have to play a lot of cricket.
Yeah.
And most important is to win an ICC trophy. That is my immediate thing, that we've reached 2 finals, one in 2017, which I think was the turning point for women's cricket when we entered the final in Lords. And then the T20 World Cup at MCG, where we had about 90,000 people watching. So it's not that people are not coming in to watch the game. It is there. It's just that we have to lift the game by winning a trophy. We've started crossing the line. We got the silver medal in the Commonwealth Games. We got the Asia Cup, which we have not won for the last 7 years, though it took some time. And that is what now we've started crossing that final hurdle. What we need is good training, good psychological, mental toughness of the players to help them perform at the highest level, and especially crossing the line when it counts the most. So once that is done, this consistency has to be there with the team. It has to be played with a proper thing, and this financial benefit should be taken advantage of by the players to make their career a little bit longer, so that they are financially secure and not just play 1 series or 2 series and make the money and go home. This will definitely improve. The domestic cricketers will come into play. The state associations will also have to think now that if BCCI is promoting women's cricket, they need to do a lot more at the domestic level. And I'm sure that the state associations will also take the call and improve the lot in women's cricket.
All right. I think that's a good note to end this discussion on. Thank you, Diana, Julan, Maninder Singh and Deepdas Gupta for joining us. It is indeed a big Diwali bonanza and treat, and certainly something long overdue in Indian women's cricket. I'm slipping into a very short break on that note. On the other side, we'll get to the day's biggest stories.
Just stop being obsessed with us women. Leave us alone. We know what to do with our lives, and we know how to become prime ministers. We know how to become presidents. We know how to become chief justice of the Indian Supreme Court. We know how to join the Hague. We know how to go to the United Nations. We really don't need him to comment on us. He is a nobody and he should understand that.
Ratan Shada, let me start with you first. There are 1.5 million people of Indian descent, persons of Indian origin in the UK. It's the largest ethnic minority in that country, and one among them, a British Asian of the third generation, Rishi Sunak, has become the Prime Minister of that country. Shouldn't Indians and people of Indian heritage all over the world celebrate that? Instead, you have Mr. Chidambaram and now Mr. Owaisi saying, you know, when will our country get a woman wearing a hijab as Prime Minister? Are they trying to poke holes in the Sunak story, or are they trying to poke holes in what's happening in the country right now?
Actually, it's very amusing Diwali Eve discussions, and I'm really enjoying all these discussions because hypocrisy of these people comes out so openly. First of all, the hijab was never part of our dress for Indian Muslims. There was no burqa. It became prominent just last 20 years back, and hijab has been introduced as an Arabic slavery sign only in recent years. Now, whether they want hijab or burqa, first point. Secondly, would they support Iranian women for the right of freedom who are burning hijab, or they want hijab to be put on the head of the girls who are unwilling to do so? So this patriarchy they have to clarify. If they say Islam is what the best part of Islam is, if they follow Sharia, if they continuously claim that Sharia is above constitution, many debates, then as per Islam, a woman cannot even leave her house without a male accompanying her, if not a male, at least a child. So how can a Muslim woman can become a prime minister when the Islamic society forces her to carry a child or some boy with her going anywhere? And the next, if you say Islamic nation next door to us, in Pakistan there was Benazir Bhutto, she lost her life. She was not a hijab wearing politician. In Bangladesh we had two ladies who became head of the state, prime ministers. They are all without hijab. Show me one country, Islamic or any other, especially Islamic, where you have women becoming head of the state. So this, either you support Sharia and Islam, or you say we are a secular country. If you are a secular country, then don't oppose triple talaq. Then if you are secular, then what did you do for 60 years? 50 years prior to 1996, 10 years from 2004 to 2014, secular governments all through. Why they could not get a Muslim prime minister elected?
No,
and why in Punjab we cannot have a chief minister who is a Hindu, or in Jammu and Kashmir where minority can be chief minister? So this hypocrisy of entire gang is so funny. And Sunak did not become prime minister because he was a Hindu. He became a prime minister because he worked hard, he worked through the party, he rose to the top, and we must compliment him for that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and this is where this debate gets completely sort of fictitious, because Sumansi Raman, Mr. Rishi Sunak got chosen not because he's a Hindu or because of his Indian heritage. He got chosen for two things. Number one, to fix the British economy, and he has a proven record of that as Chancellor of the Exchequer before, and then of course his background in private investment banking, so on and so forth. So he's capable, his capabilities are well tested, and that's the number one reason that he got picked. And the other reason is, England, as is India, a parliamentary democracy, whoever has the support of majority legislators, majority parliamentarians, goes on to become the leader of that party. It is not a post of tokenism. The Prime Minister of a country like India or England is elected by majority. So tomorrow, and nothing stops a hijab-wearing woman, the Constitution certainly does not stop a hijab-wearing woman, if she gets the support of a majority of the people of India to go ahead and become Prime Minister. So this whole debate around Sunak has been reduced to mere tokenism and not about what his capabilities are.
First of all, Zaka, should Mr. Chidambaram or Mr. Owaisi do they have the moral authority to say what they are saying within their parties? The answer is no. That is a different issue. I don't think that they are actually saying that Mr. Rishi Sunak did not get where he was because he had the merit to get the job. I don't think that is their point at all. Their point is the atmosphere in the country is such that it accepts a person belonging to a minority community, belonging to a minority faith in his country, to become the Prime Minister of the country. I think that's the point that's being made. Should Owaisi be making that point? Is he having the same freedom to the women and other groups in his own party? Yeah. All that, of course, is definitely a valid point. But, and I think that this is important, See, we have to understand that this applies to all political parties. Look, we have not had a Muslim chief minister of a state in 40 years, from the early 80s onwards. And I think the last one was Anwara Taimur in Assam. After that, I don't really think we've had a Muslim chief minister. So where is this issue of a society that is being open enough to embrace every different ethnic group within it? We are not. And the rise of the BJP has meant that even political parties which quote unquote claim to be secular are now running scared, seeing the electoral success of the BJP.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. Let's get you a quick check of the day's biggest stories that we're tracking. Ahead of the Manugode bypolls, 4 TRS MLAs have accused the BJP of having tried to poach them in what seems to be high political drama. The 4 MLAs were found in a farmhouse in Aziz Nagar where they were allegedly offered bribe by people allegedly linked to the BJP. MLAs informed Cyberabad police about it, and the police has arrested 3 people accused of having links with the BJP. Meanwhile, the BJP has hit back at TRS saying that all of this is dirty and nasty politics by the TRS. Days after Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav claimed that the Election Commission had deliberately deleted the names of nearly 20,000 voters from Yadav and Muslim communities ahead of the UP Assembly polls, the poll body has given Akhilesh time till November 10 to submit proof to substantiate these allegations. The EC has asked Akhilesh Yadav to furnish constituency-wise details of this alleged deleted names so that the poll body can take action as needed. Veteran Samajwadi Party leader and former Uttar Pradesh Minister Azam Khan was convicted by a Rampur court in a hate speech case. Khan and 2 other accused were sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees. A case of hate speech was filed against Khan over his comments against Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath in 2019. Soon after the sentencing was pronounced, the SP leader was granted bail and a week to appeal the court order. Jammu Railway Police has seized 2 boxes containing explosive material at the taxi stand outside the Jammu Railway Station building. Both the boxes were recovered inside a bag which was found abandoned near the taxi stand. A total of 18 detonators, wax-type materials weighing 500 grams and some wires were found inside these boxes. 6th arrest in the Coimbatore car blast case has been made. According to police sources, the car which was used during the blast was parked outside the 6th accused Upsar Khan's residence. The National Investigation Agency has now taken over the probe after approval from the Home Ministry last night. Meanwhile, BJP Tamil Nadu Chief K. Annamalai has accused the DMK of going slow on the probe into this blast. 3 Swedish nationals, including 2 women, have been detained in Dibrugarh in Assam for violating their visa provisions by attending a religious meeting. The cops have said that as per the court's direction, the accused will have to pay a fine and they will be sent to Guwahati and subsequently deported to Sweden. Maharashtra cops have registered a case against filmmaker Kamal Kishore Mishra after a complaint from his wife. Mishra allegedly hit her wife with a car on October 19. The incident occurred in the parking area of a residential building in Andheri West. According to officials, further investigation is underway. India won their second match of the World T20, beating the Netherlands by 56 runs at the SCG today. Batting first, India scored 179 for the loss of just 2 wickets after Kohli's sizzling knock of 62 not out and half centuries from skipper Rohit Sharma and Surya Kumar Yadav. Chasing 180, the Netherlands had no answer to India's spinning prowess with Akshar and Ashwin and could only score 123 for 9. Meanwhile, Relly Rosso struck the first century of this T20 World Cup to give South Africa a dominating 104-run win against Bangladesh. Batting first, the Proteas scored 205 for 5, with Quinton de Kock also scoring 63 runs and adding 163 for the second wicket with Centurion Rosso. Bangladesh started the 206-run chase promisingly, but after Enric Nokia's 3-wicket burst, the batters fell apart against the South African spinners. Nokia finished with his best T20 international figures of 4 for 10, while Tabraiz Shamsi took 3 wickets. In a horrific incident, armed men attacked a Muslim shrine in the Iranian city of Shiraz, killing at least 15 people. The attack was claimed by the Islamic State. The attackers were in a car and shot at pilgrims and staff at the entrance of the shrine of Shah Chirag. The police has arrested 2 of the 3 assailants, and search operations are underway for the last one as well. Finally, leaving you with the visuals of Tesla CEO Elon Musk carrying a sink while entering Twitter headquarters. Remember, his deal to acquire Twitter is set to go ahead this week. And with that, possibly he was giving the message, let that sink in. Thanks a lot for watching.
Incredible and invincible for a staggering 26 weeks. India's indisputable number 1, CNN News 18 on your side.
ये सारे जो मुद्दे हैं ये तो मैंने कोई इसको खोज के निकाला तो नहीं है, ये तो ऑलरेडी डॉक्यूमेंटेड है। इतिहास हम अपने हाथों से हम बदल नहीं सकते हैं। इतिहास तो जो है उस इतिहास को सिर्फ लोगों के सामने में रखना था।